I can hear you, Kitch, but I did see that message pop up. So maybe if we can get a couple other people to jump in that chat and let us know if they could hear us both.
Cool. Yeah, let us know, guys. Hey, and I almost pulled one of my famous little mess ups and didn't hit the record button. So just hit the record button. So we are good. We're capturing this, and man, that was a great introduction. So
you nailed it, buddy.
I nailed it. I guess you guys will just have to take our word for it. So we're gonna get jumped right in here with Alex, and one of the things that wasn't on Alex's bio is that more important than anything, Alex is a new dad to coolest little baby boy Nash. You see on the hat there, representing.
Got my hat representing. Yes, sir.
So Alex's life has dramatically changed in the last few weeks, and working on a couple hours of sleep at a time and still cranking away. So,
yeah.
Alex, anything that you want to kind of point out for the folks before we jump in and let you run on today's topic of really becoming the dominant go-to agent using the force multiplier effect?
Yeah, no, I think you did a great job, man. I think the most important thing that I could add value to is this call today is going to be a lot about marketing, right? Because I firmly believe that, yes, we're real estate agents, but we're in the business of marketing. And I've got to thank Michael Reese, because literally, when I came and I joined up with you guys back in 2014, 4 years ago already, I wasn't much of a real estate marketer at all. And it was Michael Reese who said, listen, man, the best skilled, most knowledgeable real estate agents are not the ones that sell the most real estate. It's the best marketer. Those who know how to acquire a customer will win. And that's really sunk in. And firsthand, I mean, in the last probably 24 months, I've probably spent $15,000 to $20,000 just diving into marketing, going to every single marketing event. Frank Curtin, digital marketer, Dan Kennedy. You and I have been to Traffic and Conversion a few times. I was up in Chicago with Dan Kennedy going through his Ultimate Marketer series. So I really took that to heart a few years ago, and that's really where my real estate business and my overall career kind of changed, right? My passion has always been about real estate coaching and training and contributing and giving back to agents. And this niche of marketing has really changed the amount of value that I can now deliver back to the people who I'm lucky enough to work with and coach. So this is going to be a pretty heavy based marketing day, but all these things really do help you dominate your market, become the go-to listing agent, literally taking over one neighborhood at a time. So I'm looking forward to it.
Sweet, man. Let's rock. One question that jumps out at me, within the subject line, the topic line that a lot of people might not be privy to, just is, what the heck is the force multiplier strategy?
Yeah, man, it's by land, by air, by sea, right? It's an old war saying, right? Force multiplier. You have to hit them from all of these different angles. It's shock and awe. So in real estate, we have the same ability by picking up the phone and calling people, sending out direct mail, literally Facebook, digital marketing today. So there's so many avenues that we can hit the same customer, but with all these different avenues to get our message, because consumer behavior has dramatically changed over the last 10 years, right? Nowadays, you're lucky if you can get a 10 to 13% open rate on an email, but yet tons of people spend time building out these, crazy drip campaigns via email. But I can tell you that a Facebook message through Messenger has like a 98% view rate. Yeah. So you either need to adapt and start to build your business in and around the way the consumers want to be worked with and spoken to and communicated with, and you can build a thriving business, or you can kind of stay back in more archaic ways. And I just believe you have to stay current with what's going on. And the fact that we have all of these things at our literally fingertips for pennies, right? The strategies we're going to talk about today, John, are literally almost free, if not super inexpensive. So we're not going to tell people they need to go spend, $1,000 a month to implement this strategy. I mean, it's super inexpensive.
Right. And for now, right? So it got to be taking advantage of it now. And it's funny. I consume more Gary Vee than I probably should. And, it's just like, he's always talking about, he's always laughing at people that bellyache the price of Facebook leads and stuff like that. He's like, are you kidding me? And so, it really is take advantage of the opportunity while we have it and really adapt, or, it's like what we've always said, you're going to like being irrelevant even less. So it's really important to latch onto these strategies to help propel you where the eyeballs are now. So, man, I'm excited, ready to rock and roll. So I'll let you take off and run.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. So, I was listening to some of the last couple of calls that you guys have done. And what I think is really special about today's call is we're going to take bits and pieces from some of the other calls and kind of put it together in the overall strategy. Perfect. So Kyle talked about bomb video, which is an awesome way to, people consume video at a much higher rate, right? It's almost a preferred method. Plus they get to really know who you are, know your personality, put a face to the name. Jarrett talked about leveraging a listing and how he does that in his business. So all of these things kind of come into play when we're talking about how to dominate your market and become the go-to listing agent. When I was writing the book, the main thought was most real estate agents want listing-based businesses, right? So when I worked with Mike and Jay and yourself, and we were building Expert Advisor Home Services, the real estate brokerage, the marketing message that attracted almost every single real estate agent that Michael and I met with was, we're going to show you how to become a listing-based real estate agent and generate 3 to 4 transactions every single month. And let me tell you, and John, you can speak to it, agents wanted that, right? They want to get out of dealing with buyers and putting them in their car and driving over the Metroplex and having no control, especially here where you could write 5, 6, 10 offers and they not get accepted because we're in such a hot market with multiple bids. So you couldn't scale the buy side of the business because, man, you could be driving the same buyer around for months, spend 20, 30, 40 hours on that one client, when if you had a listing, in less than 6 hours, you were, total time invested, you were cashing a $10,000, $12,000 commission check. Right. So the difference is $500 an hour or $35 an hour.
I bet, if you're lucky.
Right. So that really resonated with me, right? And, the guys have kind of traveled around the country talking about, how to dominate markets, and Dean Jackson's been the go-to listing agent lifestyle for years now. So I wanted to write a book that resonated with the real estate agents who truly wanted to build a listing-based business, dominate markets, but give them the tactics and the strategies. And I'm going to be honest with you, nothing in the book is earth-shattering. What I did was I gave them actual tactics that they can implement in their business. So the book is not based about theories. It's things that we did in this brokerage that in the first 12 months, man, we closed 268 deals for $2.3 million in GCI.
Yeah, first 12 months.
Proven strategies.
Yep.
So today, the topic that we're talking about is the force multiplier effect. So when we're talking about dominating a market, I'm going to start today with the assumption if you have one listing in a neighborhood, I'm going to lay out the strategy how to take that one listing and allow you to build your marketing, your brand presence. And over time, that strategy will turn into 1 listing, 2 listings, 3 listings within the same geographical area. The reason this is important, I think so many agents, they'll take a listing in Frisco, they'll take one in Saxe, they'll take one in Fort Worth, they'll take one in Denison, and they have no brand in their own market, right? Because nobody sees their sign. They've got one sign every couple of months.
Right.
Well, this strategy is literally put together to help you pinpoint the neighborhoods you want to grow in, be the dominant go-to person, build your brand, build your exposure to that segment, that subdivision, so to speak, and add value to them. And it's all of the impressions that are compounded over time that makes the phone ring. So you could do this once and not get a listing. You could do it 2 times, 3 times. But if you do this consistently with every single one of your listings, This is a game changer. So one of my clients, Brad, out in California, now, they have no inventory, right? It's like pulling teeth. Well, we implemented this go-to agent strategy. And on my coaching call with him last week, he's got 3 new listings in the last 90 days that came off of this overall strategy. That represents almost $60,000 in GCI in his business. Yeah. Massive. So we know the strategy works. So let me kind of start with so we put the sign in the ground and we're very strategic before we go live on the MLS. Yes. So we always do a coming soon. And it's during this coming soon that this strategy actually starts. One of the things I like to do when we're talking about force multipliers, I'm a big social media person, right? Because I know consumers' eyeballs are on Facebook. So I actually put together a coming soon marketing campaign on Facebook to where I'm already driving interested buyers that are interested in this specific property. Now, the difference here, people may have tried Facebook in the past and they're running something like a homes list. Well, when you do that, that's no different than buying leads from Commissions Inc., Boomtown, Money Tree. They're home search. They're 6 months, 9 months, 12 months out. But when somebody inquires about a specific property, that buyer, in my opinion, is closer to a sign call because they saw something about your property, something specific that piqued their interest to where they were willing to fill out a form, give me their name, phone number, and email to get additional information about that property. So what happens is you start to generate better quality leads versus just a quantity of random home search buyers. So I like to start with that coming soon. So I have my sign that says coming soon for any drive-by traffic. I also have a call capture phone number to where they can text or go to a recording call. So that's lead capture as well. And then go ahead.
No, I don't mean to cut you off. We got a good question here. And when you're talking about on the Facebook and what are you targeting? What's the audience that you're going after, the demographic that you're looking for?
Yeah. So again, you've got to know, right? This is part of the customer avatar is who are you going after? If I was going to be in a higher price point, a lot of my demographics are going to be around more of the luxury, right? Some of the basics you guys should all include is the word real estate as an interest. Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, Trulia, residential real estate, buying a home, selling a home. All those are interests that Facebook tracks. Now, I'm going to tell you, you want to be careful because I used to do things like income and a lot of the third-party data that Facebook was buying. Right. That stuff's all going away. So if you were taught that way, I can tell you that strategy probably needs to change here in the next couple of months because Facebook's not buying third-party data, so you can't do that anymore. So I use really just general search terms of buyer activity, things that buyers literally would be doing on the internet. So what about like real estate broker and real estate salesperson as an interest, not a job title? Because if people are going to real estate websites, they're probably searching for a home. So those are just a few. And then the age range, I always look at my insights on how my ads perform to see if there's any waste in marketing dollars. So sometimes I'll notice that the older segment of the market, over 55 years old, my cost per lead could be double. So literally by putting an age range that stops at 55, I literally can get rid of some of the super high cost per clicks. And I'll tell you, we've been able to generate leads for as little as 44 cents per lead.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's a game changer, especially for those team leaders. So if you're a single agent and you don't have a big budget, if you can generate leads for $1 to $2, $3 a lead, game changer, right? You can build your sales pipeline without spending thousands of dollars. If you're a team lead and you've been spending, $2,500 a month to buy leads from your lead provider to fuel your buyer's agents, we all know how frustrating that is. But if you could supplement that and spend $500 and generate the same amount of leads, you're instantly more profitable.
Right. Absolutely. Cool, man. So I'm glad you went back in and went into a little bit greater detail there. So you were on the sign on the call capture. So let you kind of take back from that point.
Yep. So I've got the call capture and I've got my just coming soon ad running. And that's going to run anywhere from 5 to 7 days before I actually go live. Now, here's the next strategy. The next strategy is I'm not a huge circle prospector, right? Just randomly picking neighborhoods and calling 2,000 people. That, to me, I'm very limited in the amount of time that I can allocate. So I want to put my time where it's best used. So what I do is event-based circle prospecting. And when you take a listing, you have 4 opportunities. And the first is the coming soon or just listed phone call. What I'll do is I'll download about 100 homes within a 1-mile radius of the subject home. And I will call those neighbors and let them know about the new listing that is just about to come on the market in their neighborhood. And the reason I put this together, I'll tell you, if you've heard of the old 10-10-20, you knock 10 doors to the left, 10 doors to the right, 20 across the street.
Yeah. Old
School strategy could easily be done now via, event-based dialing. If you have a third-party provider, like I use Mojo. So Mojo has the ability to draw a circle around a neighborhood and download 100 properties. RedX, you can do the same thing. And literally, you can drop a pin and then draw the shape of the subdivision so you only call those people that are going to recognize Santa Maria Road. So I'm not calling somebody 2 miles away who's not going to know the name of the subdivision. So that's the first phone call that's made. And that is just an introductory of, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Your neighbor just trusted me to sell their home. I'm calling you because you may have friends or family or relatives who have interest in potentially moving into this neighborhood. Okay?
Are you calling them or are you marketing to them are you doing both? So, I mean, what are you doing? Both.
So both. So that's the phone call. The coming soon ad on Facebook is also at a 1 to 2 mile radius of the subject property. So these people are also seeing my Facebook branded post that shows Alex Piech Realtor coming soon, Miramonte subdivision, okay? So that's why we're talking force multiplier, because they're hearing or seeing me 20 to 30, 40 times over a month. And
right.
That's the brand impressions that we need to generate. So
absolutely. And I hope everybody that's watching this and is just connected the dots there, right? That's when we're talking about force multiplier, what Alex was breaking down, land, air, sea, sneak attack, whatever we've got to do. So we've got a sign in the yard impression, how many times they drive by it.
Yep.
We're hitting them on Facebook with the ad. That's more impressions. Now we're hitting them with the call, more impressions. So I just hope everybody's kind of connecting the dots with you there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in addition to that, I also have people send out a just listed postcard to the same neighborhood. So when we're talking by land, by air, by sea, what we're saying in real estate is by phone, by direct mail, by digital mail.
Right.
So think about how many impressions that is. And as a real estate agent, I'm really positioning my brand, right? It's almost like the digital billboard effect. They see you so many times, you appear to be larger than really you are, because this is all done on one listing. So once we've done that, I also want to mention on my signs. I think this is an opportunity that a lot of real estate agents are missing. They're just putting a generic sign out there. Well, one of the things I can tell you is your sign should attract business and make the phone ring. So not only do I do the call capture, which is 24/7 call or text to get information, I do specific sign writers. And my thought and theory behind this might be different than most of the real estate agents, but I want to do something that would say, that interests me, let me call this guy, even if I'm not interested in that property. So we used to run things like special financing available, low monthly payment, open daily, call for times. So just different marketing messages that were way unique compared to what the traditional real estate agent is, right? And
Yeah.
nothing, again, hey, if you've got a sign right that says I'm gorgeous inside, that's fine. I just come from the mind of a marketer. I want my phone to ring. Everybody that drives by is an opportunity for me to buy or sell a home with, even if they're not interested in the home that I have on the market.
Absolutely. Jared hit on the same thing in episode 3. And I know you referenced it at the beginning of the call. So definitely for those of you on, that's in episode 3. He talks about it the same way, right? From a market perspective. I mean, it's all subject, it's all headlines. And that's where using that writer space as your headlines to be able to get it. I chuckle every time running through the neighborhood and see the for sale signs and just the things that they have. And I'm like, man, they're missing out. So
yeah, missing out on a huge opportunity, right? I mean, every dollar spent should acquire a customer back. And yeah, Jared's call was awesome. Like immediately after I watched his call, he and I connected because our minds were like, it's all about leverage. How do you take one and multiply that opportunity?
Right.
So yeah, we connected immediately. He dropped a lot of value on that call. Cool. So now back to the sign. I also, a lot of agents on this call probably do brochures. And the brochures are probably all about the subject property. What I used to do is slightly different. The front was always about the subject property, but the back was a marketing piece. And there's a couple of opportunities you have on the back of that brochure. Number one, you should be cross-referencing your other listings there. So if you've got 6 other listings, you should have the 6 of them on the back. Because think about it. Now, if you've got 6 listings and all 6 cross-reference other listings that you have, force multiplier, right? Because we know statistically the person that inquires about that home or comes to an open house, it's 1 to 3% likelihood that they buy that home. But if I've got a good marketing message to capture them as a lead, I increase those probabilities and the chances that they're going to work with me. So in addition to cross-referencing other homes, you should absolutely have a universal buyer message and a universal seller message, because this will solve not just for the people that drive by and take one, but the nosy neighbor. So the nosy neighbor comes by and grabs a brochure, flips it over, and the marketing message says, hey, find out how much your Miramonte home is worth in today's market. Get your home value in less than 30 seconds. The message is speaking to the subdivision, right? I'm very strict. I don't do broad, I do specific. And when they click that or they go to that URL, they would go to a landing page that said, Miramonte homeowners, find out what your home is worth in today's market, right? Market to message match. Everything has congruency in the marketing. Now, on the buyer message, I would put something like, view all Frisco homes for sale priced between $350,000 and $500,000. Visit friscohomesforsale.com. Now, what I did in that is I targeted Frisco, so I know they're interested in buying in Frisco. I also put a similar price point to what Miramonte homes are priced at. So when I do collect them as a lead, these people are people I want to work with, right? They're looking in the cities in which I work. They're interested in buying a home in price points that I want to service. So I'm not running to show a $150,000 home an hour away. I'm building my farm. I'm building my pipeline. I'm building my buyers and sellers based upon my ideal client, right? My customer avatar, who I want to do business with. So literally all that is done in the pre-marketing coming soon strategy. Now, once this home goes on the market, you could switch your Facebook ad from a coming soon to a just listed. Most of the time I'll run one or the other. I don't piggyback those ads, especially, because you don't want to run for 5 days and then run the exact same ad. So I do either or, right? Depending on the pre-marketing time that I have. But then I'm going to run an open house. And this is where I'm going to do it socially through the social open house method, which is, again, a very targeted ad through Facebook where I promote the open house. And the demographics to that are very similar to just home buyers. So I'm going to target the address and or the zip code And I'm going to basically almost create an event, letting them know Saturday between 2 and 5 is an open house. And I'm going to let that run from probably Tuesday until Saturday. And the good thing is that ad is like $5 a day for an ad spend. So you're $30, you can market it for six days, not a lot of expense. But what that does is it really helps get foot traffic into the home because it's showing up in their news feed because they're very targeted in who we're going after. Obviously, we're going to promote the open house on the MLS, Realtor.com, Zillow. We really want to get the foot traffic. In addition, now we go to the circle prospecting event-based data call number 2, which is inviting the neighbors to the open house, okay? We all get nosy neighbors anyway, so you can either hold the open house open 30 minutes earlier exclusively for the neighbors and invite them, or, I mean, man, who was it on the call that was talking about the open house like they were parties?
It might have been, was Kyle talking about that?
It might have been, yeah. I mean, he can't get people out of his open houses.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you guys haven't checked out Kyle's, his video was amazing. He's episode 4, so if you guys want to go back and watch it, just all about crushing things with video. So definitely a good one to go back to.
Absolutely, because you could leverage video in that open house ad. You could be at the house, shoot a quick video with your phone, showcase the house real quick, let them know about the open house, and then promote that ad for 3, 4, 5, 6 days before the event. The idea is to get traffic there. And again, then you pick up the phone, you circle prospect again, you invite people to the house. And what you're really doing by circle prospecting is you're letting the neighbors know that you're a hardworking real estate agent. You're different.
Yep. Because
when they get 4 phone calls from me, at the end of that, the 4th one is obviously I sold the home. They're going to be like, damn, that guy's a hard worker. They're going to recognize who I am by the 3rd or 4th phone call. And that's where you start to build these relationships. And this is where you separate yourself from the pack. So then we run the open house, okay? Once we're done with the open house, now if all goes well, you were marketed well, positioned well, and you get an offer, the next round is a just pended phone call. So I call back the neighborhood 3rd time. Hey, it's Alex with eXp Realty. I know we spoke last week. Hey, open house was amazing. We actually got John and Mary's home sold. So you know, within the next 30 days or so, you'll probably be seeing some new neighbors. I'm really curious. We had 5 other people who wrote offers above asking price that missed out. You know anybody else in Frisco thinking about selling their home? We've got a list of buyers in waiting that are approved. That's a great way to get people kind of off the fence because it's buyers in waiting. They were approved. They went over asking price. So there's some strategic language in that script as well.
Love it.
All right. So after the pended, now obviously we're going just sold. And the just sold is, again, by land, by air, by sea. I'm going to run a just sold Facebook marketing message targeted to a geographical area within about a 1-mile radius of the subject home. My universal offer on that is your neighbor just sold their home for 10 grand over asking. Find out how much your home is worth, and I'm going to drive them to a home value page. But I'm using social proof. Now, I'm going to give you a couple other opportunities that you can really leverage this. If you collect video testimonials, which I highly recommend, you can retarget that neighborhood with a client testimonial saying, hi, I'm John and Mary, and we just sold our house over in Miramonte subdivision, and our realtor, Alex, literally got our home sold in 4 days for $10,000 over asking. I couldn't recommend his services any higher. So then you could retarget as a third-party validation. So you could do anything you wanted at this point, but it's just the just sold with the call to action. Find out what your home is worth.
Right.
In addition to that, we're going to do a just sold postcard that is also going to drive them to the landing page of the home value, right? So they've got it both ways. And then finally, we're going to do the phone call, which is, Hey, John, it's Alex again. I know it seems like I'm calling you every 3 days, but I wanted to let you know today, John and Mary just closed on their home. The Smiths are going to be moving in. Amazing couple. You're going to love them. Hey, but I wanted to let you know I still have 5 buyers in waiting who missed out on this home. Just curious, you know anybody else that I can help out that may be thinking about even toying with the idea of selling their home? We've got some great buyers. So what I'm demonstrating is I'm a hard worker, and now I get results.
That's it. I was yeah, man. I was just sharing with the group, man. There's a cool tool, video testimonials. It's called So Tell Us.
Yes.
It's really, really cool. Super inexpensive. People can record those testimonials right from their phone and send it right away. So it's really, really cool. Check out. I think Steve and Kelly McCarthy are using it out in Northern California. So it was just cool. So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So a couple other things you could do. Now you want to continue to market to this subdivision for future people, because maybe, out of all of those efforts, you didn't get anybody. So a couple things you could do. Go to realmarketreports.com and you can buy a market report, excuse me, that is for a specific subdivision. And you could literally target market that same Facebook, that we've been targeting, and drip on them a monthly market update report. And what I would recommend is you actually doing the video where you are talking about the market report. Because again, this is a very branded strategy, right? We want people to know who we are as the real estate agent. So I would do something like that. I would continue to market to that group as I get new listings or new testimonials, because it's the consistency over time that really all of a sudden hits a tipping point, and you start to acquire inbound phone calls where people will say, hey, you listed the home around the corner. We saw what you did for marketing. We're actually thinking about selling our home. And that's the magic of this strategy. So you got to think, when you have one property, what are all the ways? Right. And then moving forward, how can you nurture that specific subdivision? And I would pick 2, 3, 4 subdivisions that you want to dominate, that are high turnover subdivisions. And depending on your market, that could be 5%, 7%, 8%. But be strategic, understand turnover rates when you are picking these neighborhoods. And what happens is you get that one listing, and then you get the second. And that in itself is more social proof to everybody else that is now seeing your sign for the second time, getting your second round of postcards, your second round of phone calls, your second round of Facebook ads. And that is where this force multiplier over, 30, 60, 90, 6 months, that's where this just can radically transform your entire real estate business.
Yeah. It's the consistency, right? And that's where most people fail with it, is that they won't commit to this process, right? So that's what commitment is. Discipline is commitment, and they're not willing to commit to this process and stay consistent with it. And it is because it does require effort, right? And so it works, and there's tons of proof and evidence out there. I mean, I know for us, when we adopted the force multiplier effect when we were in Lawton in the subdivision that Jay lived in, and here's another note too. Don't necessarily pick the neighborhood just because you live there. You got to make sure, like what Alex was talking about, that the turnover is there. And what I can tell you is that when Jay lived there and the market was a lot different than what it is in Pecan Valley, I mean, we had in the 20s market share within that neighborhood, but it was the force multiplier effect. We were consistently hitting them with stuff. We stopped going after that neighborhood because the market stopped. That was a higher price point market, and the homes and the turnover wasn't there. So we just paid attention to the numbers, and it didn't make sense anymore. So you just have to be aware of that as you go through. Let's take a little bit of the Q&A. We've got some questions. I want to make sure we cover that, and then we can dive in a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Vinny asked about Bomb from going to spam. You have any feedback there?
Man, I haven't not had any problem going to spam. I use it a lot via text. So I'm not doing a ton of it via email. I love it by text and by Facebook Messenger.
Yep.
You know, old school, I used to send them a link. They had to click, download. So just the instant deliverability, but I have not had that problem at all.
Sweet. Kathleen asked, are you doing it on engagement or lead generation? Are you using just pictures of videos? And this came in earlier in the training when you were talking about the coming soon and Facebook ads, and probably ties right into the open house as well.
Yeah. So if you'd like, I could actually show you my screen. I've got my ads manager up, and I've got a couple of things that I can show people on the call.
Let's do it. That'd be beneficial for everybody. Yep.
All right. Let me share my screen. All right. Can you see my ads manager, John?
Yep. Looks great.
All right, cool. So let me start with this buyer campaign, and I want to show you the power of doing this correctly. Here's a house in Plano that I ran this ad for just under 2 weeks. I've got 55 complete registrations, name, phone number, email. This is through the Facebook lead generation. Okay, so that is the objective that I chose for the campaign, was lead generation. I spent $129. My relevancy score was a 9. I got 506 clicks, but 55 leads. And let me show you what that ad looked like. So here's the ad. Hot new listing alert in Plano, coming soon, beautiful ranch home located on tree-covered cul-de-sac. I tease them with photos, location, and price. They have to click the Learn More button. And then I give them a really nice description of the home. And again, repeat my call to action. Here's my headline, click Learn More. A couple of things that are important to note about this ad. This image is created in Canva. So this is one image that I put this 4-image grid over. So I give the consumer some teaser photos, just enough to whet their appetite to see something that they like, but not so many photos that they can rule out the property and not submit themselves as a lead. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. And I think that fundamentally that's where a lot of people trip up right there. So great distinction.
And now, John, what I also do is if you look at the description, notice how there's no bedrooms, there's no bathrooms, there's no square footage. The reason I leave that out is purposeful, because what I understand about consumer behavior is, and this goes back to my newspaper days when I ran newspaper ads, people would rule out the property without ever calling on our newspaper ad because we gave them all the information. We told them it was 1.5 baths. In their mind, they only wanted 2 full baths, so they didn't call.
Right.
I didn't even get a chance to talk to them. But here's what I know. People's wants and what they end up settling on are usually different. Because if you found them a perfect home and it was 1.5 baths, but it checked every other box, most people are going to buy it. So what I started to do is slightly more what we call universal style marketing, where I leave the disqualifiers out. I capture the lead, I have the conversation, because if you are skilled at converting over the phone, if they have an objection over something like, oh, I really wanted 2 bathrooms, I can say, hey, that's the best thing about our smart home buying system is we can get you priority access with real-time property alerts to all the homes that are 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms in Frisco, in this school division, and I just repeat what they're looking for and make them a universal offer that it's hard to say no to.
I love it, man. And that's what it is. It's the universal, irresistible offer to the right audience that will get you, I just did some quick math. I think I got it right. $2.25 a lead. And you guys do the math on, what you're paying per lead, and, might want to adopt this strategy to help get more opportunities.
So let me show you this too, John. So this was the coming soon, right? This was the force multiplier early on this property. Here's the ad, I just sold your neighbor's home. This is now at the end. So again, now this particular home was not in a subdivision. So I targeted East Plano. So basically east of 75, those neighborhoods are very similar. This home near you just sold in 4 days for $10,000 over asking. You've even considered or thought about the idea of selling your home, this might be the year. Click Learn More to find out your instant home value. This is the same Canva ad. All I did was put a text overlay, because what I want to do is, as they're scrolling through their phone on Facebook, right, I need to stop the thumb scroll basically. And that's why I put the picture. Again, it's a more branded opportunity. So now I'm putting my sign out there, because people, you know, and I learned this from Mike Reese again, people tend to say, I see your sign everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So if people's natural tendency is to say that, then damn, I want to make sure my sign is on all my marketing pieces,
right?
Because that's what they recognize.
Great point. Great point. I'm glad you pointed that out, because it is absolutely critical. And same strategy, you know, we embraced. And if you'll go back and look at any of our old stuff out of Lawton, you'll see Jay's sign everywhere. If you see all of Michael's stuff, it's him and his yard sign. You see the yard sign everywhere. And that's what you want to program in people's mind. And it's the same strategy that's been adopted with the billboards, right? The digital billboards. And people say, man, shit, I see your billboards everywhere. Caleb is the best at it, right? Caleb has no actual damn billboards in Charleston, but people call him all the time and tell him all the time, dude, I see your billboards everywhere. And so it's just a great strategy. Thanks for pointing that out.
And let me show you. So when they click to learn more, so again, remember I said congruency in your ad? Find out what your Plano home is worth.
Yes.
Plano, right? Everything makes sense, okay? I'm not taking them from Plano to a generic home value offer. That's where we lose people. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but man, if that affects your click-through percentage by 1-2%, you know, compound that over all your marketing dollars. I mean, there's deals that you're losing because you're just being a little bit too lazy on customizing your landing pages.
Yep.
And so those are some of the campaigns. You can see I run a ton of them, but man, that lead ad buyer just absolutely crushes. My overall is $4 a lead, but for that particular house, I think you said you did the math. What was it? $2.35.
Yep.
I mean, you can't beat that for buyers inquiring about a specific home.
No.
Now, I do want to share this, because there's going to be people on the call that say, well, I don't have a listing. Well, hey, take everything I said as far as the event-based prospecting, do a just listed call to, it doesn't have to be your listing.
Nope. Go
on the MLS, find a brand new listing, circle prospect. When it goes pended, go ahead and call again. When it closes, go ahead and call again. You know, you could do the event-based dialing. Like, you can do that stuff. What I did in Connecticut, you know, when I first got licensed, I was 20 years old. A lot of people weren't banging down my doors to come list their home. But what I did is every time I represented a home buyer, I put my for sale sign in the yard and it said sold by. And my buyers in my buyer advantage agreement allowed me to leave that sign in the yard for 7 to 10 days. And what I did is I created the same exact effect of I see your sign anywhere. Man, I created it.
That's right.
I engineered that.
That is a gold nugget if you guys were paying attention that Alex just dropped right there. And it is it definitely needs to be a part of your strategy, especially, you know, helping buyers if you're struggling to get in and capturing new listings. It has definitely got to be a go-to for you guys.
Yeah, and I'm going to drop one more huge nugget, and then we'll go to the Q&A. After you sell the home, what I would do is I would write a letter, but I would write it from the perspective of your client, the seller. And I would mail it to the neighborhood with the return address on the envelope to the subject property, because people are going to recognize it and open it because it's in their neighborhood. And that letter would say, Dear John, I know this letter is, you know, probably unique and strange because I've never received one, nor have I ever written one. But by now you're probably aware I just sold my house on Santa Maria Road. Matter of fact, my agent Alex actually just sold my home. And I just want to take a minute and let you know I had an unbelievable experience. We sold our house for 10 grand over asking price. We had multiple offers. And I just wanted to let you know, if you're thinking about selling your home, I couldn't recommend Alex's service any more highly. And that letter comes from a neighbor. You write it, you get your client to okay it and sign it, and then you mail it out like it's coming from the neighbor. And it's third-party validation that, again, you created.
Yep. And it's already accelerating the trust that they have within you because it is coming from the neighbor. So that's another gangsta little nugget there. So that's awesome. All right, BC's asking any suggestion on postcard providers.
Oh man, there's I think EXP has Breakthrough Broker. That's an option. Prospect Plus is another good provider. Yep. They do a lot of Dean Jackson's postcards.
Yep. There was another one I'd have to find. I know Troy in up in Nebraska found one that was similar to Prospects Plus, maybe a little bit cheaper. So you just have to kind of look through there. I might find it here in a second. BC was asking about doing a video on Facebook of every room in the house while doing the floss. Oh, is BC flossing?
So good strategy. Again, I don't want to give away too much because then it's going to hurt my ability to lead generate. Let me make a huge distinction for everybody on this phone, on this call today. As much as I want to sell that home, I'm in the business of generating new opportunities and leads and filling my sales pipeline. I don't care if they buy that specific home. I'm more interested in capturing the lead. With my marketing, the home's going to sell. I'm confident. But I want to be able to acquire leads. So if you give away too much, BC, you could essentially allow them to disqualify. Maybe they see something in your video and they're like, oh, that bathroom's a little too outdated. I'm not interested. We want something more move in. And you just lost the potential $250,000, $300,000 buyer. You don't know what the opportunity costs are. So sometimes less is more. Hedge on the side of curiosity, right? Curiosity is one of those 7 psychological triggers, right? So I like to do that, and I like to make sure I'm really optimized for lead capture.
I love it, man. Yeah, spot on. And BC, you get to post a video of you doing the floss and post it into the Facebook group for us. Oh, awesome. Jolita was asking what kind of landing page do you use? And I think that was prior to, that had to be, yeah. I mean, just any of the landing pages I think would be of value to share with everybody.
Yep. So this one happens to run right through my website, and I use Real Geeks. So I can create as many of these customized home value pages with Real Geeks. So that's what I use. I will tell you, I've done them on ClickFunnels. I've done them on Instapage, and they all work. You know, what I like about Real Geeks is it'll give you a valuation at the end, but don't let that stop you, because remember old school kits, we used to run them and they never got a value at the end, and we had to call them. And that worked too.
In the mail.
Yeah, and you know what? And if somebody is pissed off when you call them and said, well, you didn't give me the, that was misleading. I thought I was going to get it on online. Man, you can say, listen, the reason we don't do that is online home values are so inaccurate. It literally could give you a value that is $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 or more below what your home is actually worth. We take pride in the information we provide to the consumers, and that's why we make this follow-up call, so I can give you a more accurate home value. So it's all on how you spin it and position it.
Yeah. That's awesome. And that could also, that could also be another irresistible offer for you as well. Find out how we can put, 15,000 more in your pocket than what Zillow says your home is worth. Right. So you can, you've got some of those irresistible offers to drive them to these pages. So it's good. Steven was asking, any of the EXP marketing pieces that you like that can be posted here, that can be posted to Facebook is what he's asking.
EXP. So if you're using conversion, and to be honest with you, I don't use conversion because I'm in a year contract with Real Geeks. So it was already built out. I wasn't going to change everything. When my contract's over, I'm going to go to conversion. But what I like about them is you could easily flip something up by subdivision, by golf course, by just listed, and they create these mini little, what we used to call splash pages. If I'm kind of dating myself, but that's essentially what they are. And they do great lead capture as well. You bring them into your conversion site, and then you can segment it. Guys, let me tell you why this is, and this is so damn important. And this is how you can win more listings. We always talk about being differentiated. Imagine when I walk into this subdivision with the next seller. And I say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want to let you know I've been working hard for you before we even got introduced. I've been marketing your subdivision and generating buyers for your home before we even knew each other. Let me show you the 55 buyers that I've already have in mind for your subdivision.
Yep.
Who else does that? Who else can do that?
Right. Right. They're not. I mean, it's the same old gangster trick that we used to pull with the bigger platforms, right? And we would walk in and open it up and let them see all the leads and everything in there. So it's the same principle, but this is really targeted around their neighborhood. So,
right. Old school, we would say, hey, let me show you the back of my boomtown, and I've got 1,500 people that are searching in Frisco. This is, let me show you the 55 people who liked a home right here in Miramonte, that when your home goes on the market, I'm going to call them first. So there's a chance we might already have a buyer in waiting.
Right.
So,
man, super, super awesome. I love it. I know we've got just a few minutes here before we've got to wrap. We've got all the questions handled. Is there anything else that you kind of want to leave everybody with? Maybe some challenges to them. Maybe some call to actions for them.
So I did see somebody asked about turnover rates. I like 7-8% or higher, but in some of the California markets, 3% is a high rate. So you got to know your market. So whoever, I don't know who was it, I think Jennifer asked that. So look at your market. You got to understand turnover. It's based on the amount of homes. In Frisco, there's so many homes that sell. I'm going to target 8, 9, 10% turnover subdivisions.
Yeah, you nailed it, man. It's dependent upon the market, right? So like for us in Lawton, 5-6%. We were giddy, right?
Yeah.
So you just got to know your market and see what the higher turnover neighborhoods, Also, you want to look at, is the price point above your average price point? And then, does anybody dominate that area? Like somebody have 100% market share? Like I would be real hard to go after Gaydosh's, 100%. Right. I might pick a different battle. So you just take into consideration all of those things. BC brought great question here. Either specific training on marketing tactics.
So I do have an offer for the entire group. I put together a free Facebook training. It's about an hour, but I break it into 6 small video segments. So it starts from how to create, and I'll show you this really quickly. If you notice my different pages, I've got Alex Piech as a business page, but then look at these community pages. So I started building community pages, and I run a lot of my less branded ads through this. When I want my name and my business out there for just listed, just sold, those are on the Alex Piech page. But when I'm trying to fly under the radar and just lead generate, I use these community pages. And in the training, I show you how to set this up. I show you how to pick out some listings, how to create a Facebook ad. We get into detailed targeting, and I explain to you more specific why we do it this way, so you have the fundamental understanding of marketing. And I take you all the way up to hitting submit and running your first ad. And that's a free service. So if anybody in this group wants to take advantage, if you go to honeybadgertraining.info, you can go ahead, sign up, create yourself a little login, and you get access to those videos. So again, it's honeybadgertraining.info.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. I know how valuable that is. And man, it's absolute gold, what you've been able to put together. And so all of you guys definitely take advantage of that offer from Alex, and, definitely serve you guys well and put some opportunities in your pipeline. Alex, man, I appreciate you, brother. Amazing call. Thank you for adding tons and tons of value to the group. And for all of you guys listening on the call, make sure to give Alex some love on this post. And when we get the recording up, and also make sure to, post your biggest takeaway. Give Alex some feedback. What the number one thing that you took away? We'll get the call recording posted up. If you're watching the recording, and share some love, and then share also your biggest takeaway. Thank you guys. If you feel like you've got some tons of value to add to the group, man, reach out to me. We would love to get you in the lineup and let you be an expert mentor to the rest of the crew as well. Thank you guys again, Alex. Thank you, brother. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
Kitch, one thing, I would not be a good marketer if I didn't tell people to go out and pick up the book. All the strategies we just talked about are right here. It's on Amazon, How to Dominate Your Market, Become the Go-To Listing Agent. And more importantly, it's how to build a predictable real estate business that you can actually enjoy.
I love it, man. Thanks for getting that in there. Appreciate it. All right, guys, rock and roll, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.